Welcome to the channel and welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off. Let's kick off with the goalkeeper situation. Absolutely loads of reports coming mainly from South American journalists, I will say straight away, regarding Emiliano Martinez. So Manchester United have made a move for Emiliano Martinez. Negotiations are ongoing with Aston Villa. Now, that came from Gaston Edul, who is apparently a tier 1 sort journalist for South American news, got 1.1 million followers on X, so I'm going to assume fairly decent. I'm not entirely convinced, though, personally, but suggesting that Manchester United have made a move for Martinez. Negotiations are ongoing with Aston Villa. We've had another South American journalist saying that United have begun official negotiations with Aston Villa to sign Emiliano Martinez. Negotiations are in their early stages and the players' camp is open to a move. Ruben Amorim's priority is Martinez. And then another South American journalist saying that negotiations underway between Manchester United and Aston Villa for Emiliano Martinez. A formal offer is expected in the coming days. Discussions regarding the player's contract are also taking place. So that's three. I think one of them's decent. One of the first story from Gaston is actually he's meant to be a tier 1 Argentinian journalist. I'm not entirely convinced by the other ones, but 3 separate South American journalists all coming out effectively saying that Manchester United are in talks or in negotiations with Emiliano Martinez and Aston Villa regarding Martinez. What do we think about that? We know this is a player that obviously we have been heavily linked with Martinez. A lot of the links, though, have come from Martinez's side, where he's and his agent have been trying to get him a move to United. The more Man United linked journalists like, Laurie Whitwell and stuff have said that. But whether something's changed, obviously Onana's injury. We know we've had talks this week with Bayinda as well. Maybe something's happening with Garnacho and Aston Villa. We'll go through that news in a second. But give us your thoughts and feelings on Martinez. I'm not entirely convinced by Martinez, but I'm not entirely convinced by some of the links we're getting anyway, as we'll go through in the rest of the stories. But I think I would take him. I would take Martinez. He wouldn't be my go-to goalkeeper, but I think there's pros and cons. I think the cons are he does make mistakes. But I think the pro, he's at good age, experienced goalkeeper, 32 years old, which is the same age when we signed Edwin van der Sar. I think he's got leadership qualities which would help a young defence when you think we've got Yoro, Heaven, even De Ligt's not entirely. He's more experienced because of the clubs he's played at, but in terms of age, he's not exactly, coming up to his late 20s. He's only 25, I believe. Dorgu, players like that. So I do think getting an experienced goalkeeper in, leadership qualities, he's a bit of a bastard as well. I like that. So I think there's some pros to him. It's just, is he a massive upgrade on Onana? I'm not entirely convinced. I think he is an upgrade though. But give us your thoughts and feelings on Martinez in the comments below. Now, interestingly though, Simon Jones, who is a good source, pretty much said a similar thing, that Manchester United players have heard that the club still intend to sign Villa keeper Emiliano Martinez, but talks have yet to go beyond an inquiry. So whether that story came out before all the rest of the journalists, the South American journalists have said that, we're in negotiations and in talks. But Simon Jones saying that players have heard that we intend to go for Emiliano Martinez is interesting. He also said that Botafogo's John Victor, a more affordable option to cover Andre Onana. So he's linking us again with potentially John Victor. But then also said that Sturm Graz have interest in United reserve Radek Vitek. Now that's interesting because there's also been a report suggesting a similar thing, that Sturm Graz have identified Manchester United goalkeeper Radek Vitek as a new target this summer. The Austrian champions will be without their goalkeeper for a long spell after he suffered an injury. This has forced them to search the market for a new stopper and have set their sights on the Manchester United player. So, and the Laurie Whitwell on the Talk to the Devils podcast the other day was suggesting that maybe people at the club don't think Vitek is quite ready just yet, but I still think he deserves an opportunity in pre-season, because sometimes players will do better in game time and in match situations, and they might surprise you. So I'm all for Vitek given the opportunity in pre-season until we can sort the goalkeeper situation out. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments. Now, interestingly as well, there's been a report about Lemens, who is probably the other goalkeeper. I think the Martinez, John Victor and Lemens would be the three main names that I would suggest we've been linked with. Now, Royal Antwerp are prepared to part ways with goalkeeper Sonny Lemens. The Belgian club are demanding around 20 million euros, with several clubs, including Manchester United, has shown interest this season. And that came from a Belgian journalist who's quite close with Royal Antwerp, by all accounts, suggesting that Antwerp are ready to part ways. I did see some quotes from, I think it's Mark Overmars, who's their sporting director over there, saying that, yeah, we have to sell him because they've effectively already bought in a goalkeeper as a replacement. So so that potentially could be one to keep an eye on. But it seems like, going off of the recent reports, maybe there is something in the Martinez news, but I want to wait for a bit more credibility, because I've been waiting overnight. No Romano, no update at the time of recording this video, which for anyone paying attention to that is 8 o'clock in the morning. So at this moment in time, there's no updates or no one confirming that story or that bid or we're in negotiations is correct, because I'm pretty sure maybe somebody would have come out by now. But we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on it. There's no smoke without fire, so there could be something in that. But give us your thoughts and feelings on the goalkeeper situation in the comments. Now, let's move on to some other news. So Ben Jacobs has said that Manchester United and Milan are both hold a genuine interest in Pervis Estupiñán. United have now held talks on the player side. Brighton are open to selling. No formal approach yet, but Brighton are open to selling, having added Maxim de Cooper to their squad as well. So Ben Jacobs, this isn't the first time that he's linked us with Estupiñán. Did also say that, Mbeumo was close to United 2 weeks ago, so he's had a good summer so far, though, Ben Jacobs. But still, for me, a little bit hit and miss. Estupiñán. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced by this. Not in terms of the player. I like the player. I think he's a good player. Would be a good option to bring in. But are we really in the market for another left wing back? I mean, just bought Dorgu. Sure, dare I say, could play there. See, Diego Leon's come in, but I don't think the expectations are that he's going to be a first-team player unless he surprises people in pre-season. I think they're going to have a look at him. We've got Harry Amas there as well. I mean, bringing in someone with a bit of Premier League experience, again, that seems to be the route that we're going down, but I'm not entirely convinced that we'll have the funds, and it's a priority position when we need... we've not even got Mbeumo over the line. We need a striker, goalkeeper, midfielder. I'm not entirely convinced. I'd want to see a bit more credibility, but an interesting name. Definitely someone that would, if we've got the funds and we want to go down that route, I wouldn't be against signing Estupiñán. That's not, so I don't want to come across as, poo-pooing the idea of signing Estupiñán. It's just I'm not entirely convinced that that's an area of the pitch that we're going to be looking to strengthen this summer when we've got limited budgets or limited funds and other priority positions to go and strengthen. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. That feels more like maybe an agent story or someone linking in with United to put his name out there as come and get me, I'm available. But we'll wait and see. That's just my thoughts on that. Now, interestingly, there was a story I brought you yesterday regarding Tolisso, and there's been another French outlet suggesting a similar thing, saying that Manchester United are reportedly quite insistent on signing Corentin Tolisso this summer and are willing to meet the £8.6 million asking price. Lyon are reluctant to sell, but Tolisso could be open to the move. So that's another fairly decent French news outlet linking us with Tolisso. The news yesterday was from a good journalist from L'Equipe, also suggesting Tolisso as well, and that he would be open to the move. There wasn't any suggestions of a price tag in yesterday's story, though, but £8.6 million, I would be all over that. I think he's, if it's going to be low cost, I would imagine in terms of wages, not the worst idea. It would feel a little bit like Not a little bit different because we got Ericsson on a free, but it would feel a little bit like getting Ericsson in, where we got someone in as a stopgap for a few years. Good age, good experience, quality player as well. Showed you this stats, the stats yesterday. Very good numbers in terms of his all-around general play as a midfielder. Probably more as a box-to-box attacking 8, I suppose, as a way that he plays. But good defensive records, passing, everything you would want in a midfielder. So I actually like the idea of bringing that in. Someone relatively cheap, low cost, low risk. Yeah, I'd be for it. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments, because I'm sure you will have differing views regarding that, as we always do. But that's football; it's all about opinion. But give us your shouts on that in the comments below. Now, after that striker situation, so brace yourselves. Manchester United are monitoring the situation of Nicolas Jackson as the forward weighs up his future after Chelsea's summer spending spree, which included the acquisition of strikers Liam Delap and João Pedro. Chelsea are not actively looking to sell Jackson, who cost them £32 million 2 years ago when they bought him from Villarreal, but there is a feeling that they could end up cashing in on the player if they receive a decent offer for him. And United are among a number of interested clubs. Now, that came from Paul Hurst, who is a decent source of information as well, suggesting that United are one of a number of clubs interested in Nicolas Jackson. Go for it in the comments. Let me know what you think about that. I think Nicolas Jackson is a better player than he's being touted as, because I've seen all the hate and the abuse and stuff. I actually think he's better than what's being perceived as a player, and this is just my personal opinion. I think he's a better player than that. The problem with Jackson is his finishing. His general play outside of that, I think, is really good. His hold-up play, he draws a lot of fouls. He's quick. He can run the channels. He works hard. He's got good, attributes, apart from his finishing, which is technically what you want from a striker, I suppose. But that's the worry with Jackson for me, is his finishing's terrible. But everything outside of that, if he could get better in front of goal, I think he'd be a really, really good player, because everything else I like around him. I like but apart from that, it's his finishing. And, I said the other day, if there's a deal to be done or a situation, because Aston Villa were linked with him as well, can we not go for Watkins and then Villa? I'd much prefer that situation to go through. But if you put on the spot, would I take Jackson? I think he's better than Hojlund. And, in a similar way, going back to the Martinez news, I think Martinez is better than Onana. Are they much better? That's the question mark. Is if Hojlund's here, is Jackson up here? I don't think so. I think maybe he's a little bit better. And the same with Onana and Martinez. If Onana's here and Martinez is maybe here, it's a slight upgrade in my opinion, but it's not a massive upgrade. And I suppose we're in a position where maybe marginal gains, maybe those small upgrades is what we need. And they've got different characteristics and different profiles. It wouldn't be my preferred choice. I'd much rather us go and get Ollie Watkins. Out of all the strikers that are remaining now on the market, I think Ollie Watkins is the one that ticks all the boxes for me. I really, really rate Ollie Watkins. I think he would be a fantastic player. So I'd much rather us go for Watkins, but beggars can't be choosers sometimes. Now, Pete Hall also said the same thing, that interest in Nicolas Jackson is genuine. No bid yet, but Man United are looking at other options. Could be available at a knockdown price, given Chelsea's need to clear the decks. And the other thing about Jackson is we never win when it comes to transfers from Chelsea. Something always goes tits up. The only one I would suggest that didn't was Juan Mata. Someone put a great shout in the comments the other day. People overlook Juan Mata and his signing from Chelsea. I thought Juan Mata was an excellent player for us. What we would do for someone like Juan Mata coming back into the team now with his professionalism and attitude and everything like that, and his quality on the ball. I really, really rated Juan Mata. So for every Mason Mount, there could be a Juan Mata in there, but I'm not saying that Jackson's going to be anywhere near as good as Juan Mata, by the way. But just to throw that out there, but in general, yeah, we always seem to get our fingers burnt when it comes to transfer dealings with Chelsea. Not just us signing their players, but them, getting all the players that we want as well. So annoying. There's his stats, not exactly, not bad. If you look at Hojlund's, go and look at Hojlund's stats on FBref if you want to see a direct comparison. But good attacking, good progressive carries, He is okay. He's okay. Like I said, it's his finishing that lets him down. Everything outside of that, I think he's a good player, but it's just finishing. And technically, you do want finishers as a striker. That is sort of your job. But he does everything else outside, so I can see maybe it not being the worst idea. But is it the best idea either? Tell me in the comments. 37 appearances, 13 goals, 6 assists last season. Did have an injury last season, so whether that's something to do with his numbers, missed 9 games, not got a bad injury record, though, for those that coming at me in the comments. He missed a few games last season with a hamstring injury, I think it was. But apart from that, pretty decent injury record as well. But give us your thoughts and feelings in the comments. I will brace myself to read those later. Now, another option, Sesko, Samuel Lucker, said that interest in Benjamin Sesko is likely to surge this week as he remains in the last prominent attainable striker available. Despite rejecting Man United in 2022, his agent has made several visits to Old Trafford and Carrington since then. So Samuel Lucker suggesting that Benjamin Sesko is the only striker left available, which I would disagree with. But he is a player that we have been linked with. We know we've scouted him multiple times as well, so we'll have to wait and see how that. I think he's going to be unaffordable for us, though. If we don't have the money, if we're in a sell to buy position after we potentially go for getting Mbeumo done or walk away from Mbeumo, maybe we would have the money for Sesko. But I think we're in. I'm not entirely convinced by the Sesko. I think it's more the opposite way around, where he's being linked with us rather than we're pursuing Sesko at the moment. But we'll keep an eye on that one. Thankfully, Samuel Lucker said that Manchester United have informed Christopher Nkunku's representatives they are nowhere near as keen as his parent club Chelsea claimed, so that's good. So hopefully because that would be a disaster for me with his injury record and age and everything like that. I agree with your comments around Nkunku. That's somebody that we would have learnt nothing if we signed Nkunku from Chelsea. Jackson's a little bit different, a little bit younger, not got the injury record that Nkunku does. But yeah, I'm glad that we're, basically saying, no, we're not that keen on you, mate. Thank you very much. Samuel Lucas also did say, though, that Manchester United's striker hunt may last until the transfer deadline as their key signings like Ugarte, Hojlund, Casemiro and Maguire often arrive late. And that's probably... I can see that because like I said, we're in a position where we have to sell to buy. And at the moment, the players that we want to sell don't seem to be in a rush to leave, or the clubs that want to buy them are not necessarily in a rush to put offers in. It's not like we're rejecting offers or accepting offers left, right, and centre for the players that we want to sell. So yeah, I think teams will hold on last minute in the transfer window to get a better deal from United, and that's what happens when you air your dirty laundry and you make it public that these players are on the market. Weakens your bargaining power. So. But it is what it is regarding that. Now, interestingly, Italian reports are now saying that AC Milan are working on a deal to sign Rasmus Hojlund. So we had Inter Milan no longer interested yesterday from Laurie Whitwell. Now, apparently, AC Milan are working on a deal. So there seems to be something in the Italian media. I wonder whether he gets loads of views and clicks over there. Because there seems to be, all the time, loads of reports with Hojlund and Italian clubs coming from Italian media, and I wonder if he gets loads of clicks over there, because realistically, I could see that maybe being plausible, but is someone really going to buy Rasmus Hojlund like for 40-odd million pounds that we need for him? Let's be real, after last season, I can't see it personally. Loan, option to buy, or an obligation to buy, I could see as being more realistic, but that doesn't necessarily help us because we need the cash. It's not about the PSR or his wages or anything with Hojlund. It's about bringing money in, and if it's a loan, it doesn't give us any money at all, apart from maybe a small upfront loan fee. But we'll keep an eye on that one. Interestingly, little Samuel Lucker said that Manchester United are still burnt from the £72 million package they agreed with Atalanta for Rasmus Hojlund, bought for an upfront fee of £64 million 2 years ago. Whilst United were in negotiations with Atalanta, one of the coaching staff members admitted they would not be able to spend £60 million on another striker the following summer. Now, that came from Samuel Lucker. So now, I don't necessarily think that's a go at Hojlund, by the way. But what an absolute shit show. And that just shows you why we've got no money to spend. Because I know Ineos are getting it in the neck, right? But ultimately, Ineos have put more money into Manchester United and have done more things in 18 months than those cockroaches the Glazers have done in 22 years at owning the club. My frustration will always be at the Glazers. They're responsible for where we are now. Ineos trying to fix it, and trying to fix this mess is not easy. And I don't agree with all of their decisions, by the way. I think the charities and the job losses and everything like that has been, and some of their decision making has been absolutely pathetic. Giving Ten Hag a new contract, sacking him, the Dan Ashworth situation, they're making mistakes all over the place, so they're not, guilt-free, but they're not responsible for the financial mess that we're in. Jim Ratcliffe's put in more money than the Glazers ever have of his own pocket. He's maxed out how much he can add in terms of money to the club to help us from a PSR perspective and actually help us spend money this summer. And the reason for that is because of these shit deals in the past. So we paid £64 million up front for Rasmus Hojlund, which is more than what he was probably worth anyway. So we've already paid, I think, £24 million above what Rasmus Hojlund should have been worth as an upfront cash fee, and then the rest in add-ons. So we gave Atalanta £64 million up front instead of doing it over 5 years, instead of doing like we are with Cunha, 20 million this year, 20 million next year, and so on, and spreading that cost over years. We've literally paid £64 million up front. That's ridiculous. And you wonder why we've got no money to spend this summer. Well, because it says in the article there, even club members said we're not going to be able to spend £60 million next year on a striker because they've just blown it all on Hojlund. And it's those sort of shit deals. That's why we've got no money at the moment. It's nothing to do with, so that mismanagement is absolutely disgraceful. Laurie Whitwell was saying the other day, for Harry Maguire, we gave them £80 million up front. The full shebang. His entire transfer fee was done in one lump sum to Leicester for Harry Maguire, which is insane. And am I not right in thinking it's the same sporting director that was at Leicester when they fleeced us for Harry Maguire that was at Atlanta as well? So clearly whoever that is had us bent over a barrel, because that's ridiculous. And, it's nothing against Hojlund. It's not his fault. He doesn't do the negotiations. He's not responsible for how much United paid for him. But for us to pay £64 million up front, insane. And then you wonder why we've got no money, and we're in a position where we are right now, where we can't buy any more players and we have to sell players to buy, and we've ran out of cash. There's one of your reasons, and that's just one example of probably multiple deals. Well, probably every deal that we've done where it's just been an absolute disaster. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments. That made me a little bit angry. Let's quickly go for the rest of the exit news. So Liverpool floated the idea of moving for Marcus Rashford, but that initial conversation has not progressed so far. So Simon Jones suggested maybe Liverpool had a little feeling or thought about going for Marcus Rashford. I can't see that happening, but never say never in football. Aston Villa are among the clubs monitoring developments with Manchester United's Alejandro Garnacho. He has turned down overtures from Al Nassr, wants to stay in the Premier League, and is also aware of ongoing interest from Chelsea. That came from Simon Jones, suggesting Villa are among the clubs. Maybe that's why we've had a few more links with Martinez. Maybe we could do a deal with Watkins. Who knows? Jadon Sancho, Manchester United have agreed to pay Jadon Sancho's £4.3 million severance package to help finalise his transfer to Juventus. The deal would clear the way for Sancho to accept personal terms with the Italian side, with a proposed annual salary of around £4.7 to £5.2 million net. So reports from Corriere dello Sport suggesting that we are going to have to do a severance pay for Jadon Sancho. He's really earned his £4.3 million over the last couple of seasons for Manchester United, where he's had 3-4 months off to go to for personal reasons. Came back, fell out with the manager, had 3 to 4 months off there, got a loan deal to Chelsea, so he's really earned that £4.3 million severance package. But if it is what it is to get rid of him, then fair enough. Then it is. I'm sure the club are doing the right thing by doing it. I'm sure there'll be a benefit for us doing that anyway, because we know that the current ownership are not going to want to lose money on anything. So, but then Simon Jones also said that Jadon Sancho is an option for Juventus, but it is not their priority as they push for Porto winger Francisco Conceição. Now, interestingly, Conceição has had the here we go to Juventus, so we'll have to wait and see what happens regarding that, because we don't know if they want Sancho and Conceição, or they were lining up Sancho as an alternative to Conceição if they couldn't get that deal done. The belief is maybe they still want both, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Alfredo Padula Badula said that Juventus have submitted a £15 million offer to Manchester United for Jadon Sancho. So Alfredo Badula saying that they have submitted an offer to Manchester United, £15 million. Maybe because of the severance pay, maybe that's why it's less. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out, because Alfredo Badula can be a little bit hit and miss. But he's also saying that Juventus have reached a complete agreement with Jadon Sancho and his representatives, and now they must finalise the transfer fee with Manchester United. So there are more links now with Sancho going to Juventus. The story yesterday was that United want to try and push this deal through before next week. Maybe that then gives us the money to finalise the Mbumo deal. Who knows? But we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. I'd want to see a bit more credibility than Corriere dello Sport and Alfredo Badula regarding that deal. But we'll have to wait and see, because, like I said, the more credible outlets are maybe suggesting that they would, that Juventus wanted Conceição. We don't know if they want Sancho and Conceição, and if they've just got the here we go for Conceição, then we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video. That's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer updates. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.